Hi everyone, welcome to this Capitol Spotlight. I'm Margie O'Brien with Capitol TV. Joining me now is Representative Marie Hopkins. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we're in month 2 of this 2025 session.
Yes.
Any first impressions?
It's a lot coming at me, and I tell everyone this analogy, it is like the top of the roller coaster. When you're at the top of the roller coaster, you have the feeling of a little bit of fear, a little bit of anxiety, but also you're super excited. Every day feels like that for me.
Well, I hope that the slope down is not such a long fall.
I'm looking for, no, we're not going down. We're going up. It's going to be okay.
That is a great attitude.
Thank you.
Why did you want to run?
One day my children came to me, my 2 oldest daughters, and they're like, Mom, we can't afford to be here. When we get our lives together, we're going to leave. We're going to move.
That's the last thing a mother wants to hear.
Right. You know, that's scary. And I have a grandmother I live next door to. She's 94, and I see her struggles. I have the freedom and the space to be able to do this. And for years of my life, I would point at politicians, go, what are you doing? What are you doing? And, you know, it's your fault. And one day I thought, I can point the finger at myself. I can make a change. And I thought about it a lot, and I talked to my family. I didn't go into the decision lightly.
Sure.
I really did not.
You
can't. And I decided to do it. And I did it.
So they were your campaign workers?
They were, yes. My 16-year-old son knocked on doors and his friends walked. My whole family contributed.
And what a lesson for them, too.
Yeah.
So I always jokingly ask, how many sneakers did you go through?
More than one. I actually have a photograph of a worn-out pair of canvas, like holes in the toes. I knocked thousands of doors. That was probably one of the best parts of it, was being on people's doors and listening to them. And I never led with, hey, I'm Marie, here's what I'm gonna do. I always led with, what do you need? What interests you? I listen to everybody, whether you are far left, far right, or like most people, just trying to make ends meet and you're in the middle politically. I got all that perspective. I think that was really valuable, and that's something that I bring forward, is a dedication to listening and trying to serve what they say and what they want.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about your other perspective as a nurse, background in medicine, making a transfer position into education. So in that realm, what do you know? How are we doing?
Well, everyone would say the same thing. We have a crisis. The biggest problem is a lack of providers. So there's a lack of access, and that's not just a disparity access, that's the lack of access that is affecting every single Rhode Islander. Becoming a nurse was a second career for me. I did it in my 40s. Oh. My brother's an MD. He's like, oh, you know, go into this. And everyone said, you're crazy, you have to start at zero, go continue your English studies. And I said, no, I'm doing this. And I reinvented myself and loved it. It was actually one of the best things I've done in my life. So where are we? We have a problem. We need to grapple with it. When I talk to other leaders, I think everyone is recognizing, and I hear an incredible willingness for people to really put their shoulder to the wheel. I hear that people want to make it, but people up here want to make it better, and that makes me feel good.
Well, I do think you're right that it is impacting everyone now.
It is.
It took me 2 years to find a primary care after my doctor retired from COVID.
That is a common story.
And it's a little, you're a little afraid every day. You know, you're like, take your vitamins, say, oh, let's have a healthy day today, because you don't know what's coming next.
Right, and we are a state that has an aging population. Right? So there's more and more people leaving the workforce, entering the healthcare system all the time. And if we don't have a system that can provide, the backlogs are only going to become worse.
So have you been receiving your committee assignments?
I have.
And tell us what they are.
So I have 4 committees.
Wow.
I know, it's right. Labor, Health and Human Services, Judiciary, and Veterans Affairs. You asked about my education. When I was little, I always wanted to teach, and that didn't quite pan out until after I became a nurse, and then I worked my way into teaching healthcare, and I teach CNA program at CCRI. So to that point, I didn't take a class this term. I have cleared my decks entirely. I've given myself a tremendous amount of space so that I'm able to take on these 4 committee assignments.
Smart choice.
Thank you. I think it's the best thing, because if I'm going to do this, I really want to do it well. And let's admit it, there is a learning curve. So I want to give it all of my energy and step into that learning curve so that I can succeed. So I'm not worried about the workload of the committees. It's more of that excitement about them. I had my first one the other day. Oh my goodness. It was fantastic. I took in everything. I listened to so many people. I got an insider view of how this works versus being that person on the outside as an observer. Now I'm an active participant, and it's just marvelous to be a part of that. It is. Thank you.
So you mentioned Veterans Committee.
Yes.
Is that a family background? Family issues?
Yeah, no, my immediate family, we don't have any veterans. I do have veterans in the prior generation. We did have my mother's brother, who we lost in the Vietnam War. He came back to us, but he didn't quite come back to us, which is probably why, as a nurse, I went into psychiatric care. I have such great admiration for the men and women in our military, and I had an opportunity to take a job at the VA, and that was one way to contribute. And it's just a realm that interests me and I'm dedicated to. An interesting point that people may find, this is pretty fabulous. The woman who held the seat in District 21 prior to me, Camille Bella Wilkinson, she's a veteran, and it was one of her most important legislative objectives. She has, in her retirement, started a nonprofit veteran assistance program, and she's put me on the board of that organization.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so this is bipartisanship for the right reasons, for things that affect everybody, and I'm so grateful for that chance.
That's so great.
Yeah.
And she could also serve as a mentor for this position to say, like, hey, do this, don't do that.
You know, we've become really good friends, she and I.
That's fantastic. Well, it sounds like, Rep, you have a lot on your plate.
I do.
4 committees, brand new representative to the House.
Yeah, I have a lot on my plate, but again, it's that moment of excitement and willingness to do it. I'm ready. One of the things that I take very, very serious, and I have told people from the beginning, I am easy to find and I am easy to reach, and I do listen and I do answer. And if people want to reach out, by all means do, because that is the job. That is the job. And I'm here to do a good job.
Well, that's great. Well, we hope the roller coaster ride is smooth sailing for the rest of the session.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and thanks for joining us at home for this Capitol Spotlight. I'm Margie O'Brien with Capitol TV.